Have you ever wondered if it's possible to chase pleasure and live a life of indulgence while still staying grounded in discipline and wisdom? It seems almost impossible. After all, we've been taught that pleasure and self-control don't mix, that pursuing one means abandoning the other. But what if that wasn't the case? What if you could enjoy life's pleasures without letting them control you? The ancient Stoics, known for their emphasis on virtue, discipline, and resilience, had a surprisingly nuanced view of pleasure. They didn't see pleasure as something to be avoided, but rather something to be approached with intention. The Stoics believed in living a good life, which didn't mean rejecting joy, but instead understanding its place within a larger framework of balance and virtue. They asked one key question: how can you enjoy pleasure without it corrupting your sense of self or leading to excess? In today's video, we're going to explore 10 rules for how you can chase pleasure like a Stoic without losing your center. These rules will help you align joy with purpose so you can live a life that's both rich in pleasure and strong in character. Let's dive in. Rule 1. Define true pleasure. When it comes to chasing pleasure like a Stoic, the first and most important rule is to define what true pleasure means to you. It sounds simple, but most of us never really stop to question it. We're bombarded by endless distractions, advertisements, social media, and even societal expectations that make us think pleasure is about excess, luxury, or instant gratification. But is it really? The Stoics believed that pleasure isn't about the fleeting highs that come from indulging in physical or material desires. Instead, they saw pleasure as something deeper and more lasting, a state of fulfillment that comes from living in alignment with your values and purpose. For the Stoics, true pleasure wasn't the rush you get from buying something new or eating an extravagant meal. Instead, it was the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing you are living well, in harmony with yourself and the world around you. To apply this rule in your life, you need to start by questioning what pleasure means to you. Is it about external validation, or is it about something more internal, like peace of mind, personal growth, or meaningful relationships? Once you've defined this, it becomes easier to filter out the superficial pleasures that don't contribute to your overall well-being. This doesn't mean denying yourself joy. Quite the opposite. It means being more selective about the kind of pleasure you pursue. When you're clear about what brings you lasting fulfillment, you won't feel the need to chase every impulse or indulgence. Instead, you'll focus on experiences and activities that align with your personal sense of purpose. By defining true pleasure, you lay the foundation for a life that's not just about indulgence, but about balance, meaning, and long-term satisfaction. It's pleasure with a purpose. Rule 2. Understand impermanence. The second rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to understand that everything is fleeting. Stoicism teaches us that life is constantly changing, and nothing, whether it's pain or pleasure, lasts forever. This may seem like a somber thought, but for the Stoics, it's a powerful tool for living a better life. When you grasp the impermanent nature of all things, you start to value the present moment while keeping your emotions in check. When we experience pleasure, our natural inclination is to hold on to it for as long as possible. Whether it's the high of a new experience, the thrill of success, or even the comfort of routine pleasures, we often act as though these feelings will last indefinitely. But when we become attached to them, we set ourselves up for disappointment because all pleasures fade with time. Stoics encourage us to enjoy life's joys, but with the awareness that they will inevitably pass. This understanding doesn't diminish pleasure. It actually makes it richer because we learn to savor it without clinging to it. On the flip side, understanding impermanence also helps you cope with life's difficulties. Just as pleasure is temporary, so is pain. When you're faced with discomfort or hardship, reminding yourself that it won't last forever can give you the strength to endure it. For Stoics, embracing impermanence creates a balanced perspective. You can chase pleasure without being consumed by the fear of losing it, and you can face challenges knowing that they too will pass. In this way, life becomes a series of moments to be appreciated, not clung to. Impermanence makes both pleasure and pain more manageable, allowing you to live fully and freely without attachment. Rule 3. Embrace self-control. The third rule in chasing pleasure like a Stoic is embracing self-control. It's easy to think of pleasure as something that should be pursued without limits, especially in today's culture of instant gratification. But the Stoics understood a crucial truth. True pleasure doesn't come from indulging in every desire. It comes from controlling those desires, mastering your impulses, and knowing when enough is enough. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of temperance, the virtue that allows us to enjoy life's pleasures in moderation. The idea isn't to reject pleasure altogether, but rather to pursue it in a way that doesn't undermine your long-term well-being or sense of self. Without self-control, the pursuit of pleasure can easily spiral into excess. What starts as a moment of joy can quickly turn into overindulgence, leaving you feeling empty or dissatisfied. We've all experienced this, whether it's eating too much, spending beyond our means, or staying up too late chasing fleeting highs. The pleasure is short-lived, but the consequences often linger. By practicing self-control, you gain the ability to enjoy pleasure without letting it control you. Imagine sitting down to a delicious meal. If you have no restraint, you might eat until you're uncomfortable, turning a pleasurable experience into something regrettable. But if you exercise moderation, you enjoy the meal without excess, leaving you satisfied rather than overwhelmed. The Stoics believed that the real pleasure comes from mastering your desires, not being ruled by them. When you're able to choose how and when to indulge, you're no longer at the mercy of external forces. You take back control over your own happiness. Self-control gives you the freedom to pursue pleasure in a way that enhances your life rather than detracts from it. It's the key to balanced, meaningful enjoyment. Rule 4. Balance pain with pleasure. The fourth rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to balance pain with pleasure. This may sound counterintuitive at first. After all, who wants pain when you're after pleasure? But the Stoics believed that you can't fully appreciate pleasure without experiencing its opposite. Life's most meaningful pleasures are often amplified by the hardships we endure. Think about it. If you never knew hunger, would food taste as good? If you'd never faced a challenge, would success feel as sweet? The Stoics saw pain and discomfort not as things to avoid, but as necessary counterpoints that make pleasure richer. They embraced the idea that hardship is an essential part of life, and that enduring it gives us a deeper appreciation for life's joys. The key is to not fear pain, but to recognize it as temporary and even valuable. When you're able to balance pleasure with pain, you develop resilience, and with that comes a more profound ability to enjoy life's pleasures. For example, think of someone who trains for a marathon. The physical strain, discipline, and exhaustion are grueling, but when they cross the finish line, the pleasure of accomplishment is magnified because of the struggle it took to get there. Stoics teach us that life is about more than chasing comfort. They suggest that true pleasure comes from the contrast. Enduring pain allows us to savor the pleasure that follows. Whether it's small discomforts, like getting up early to pursue a goal, or major challenges that test your limits, those moments of struggle build the foundation for lasting joy. When you stop running from pain and start seeing it as part of the journey, you'll discover that the pleasure you experience afterward is even sweeter. Pain isn't the enemy, It's the necessary contrast that makes life's pleasures meaningful. Rule 5. Cultivate gratitude. The fifth rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to cultivate gratitude. In the Stoic mindset, gratitude plays a critical role in finding true happiness and pleasure. Instead of constantly chasing new desires or being dissatisfied with what you don't have, the Stoics encourage us to focus on the present and appreciate what we already possess. Gratitude is the antidote to endless desire, and it transforms even the simplest pleasures into sources of deep contentment. Most of us are conditioned to think that pleasure comes from obtaining more money, more success, more experiences. But Stoicism teaches that true pleasure isn't about acquiring, it's about recognizing and appreciating what's already in front of you. By cultivating gratitude, you shift your focus from lack to abundance. You begin to notice the small joys in your daily life: a quiet morning, a kind word, a meal shared with loved ones. Gratitude doesn't just enhance your experience of pleasure, it also protects you from the disappointment and dissatisfaction that come from constantly chasing more. When you're always focused on what's next, you rarely enjoy the present moment. But by practicing gratitude, you become more mindful of the richness in your life, and that awareness creates a steady stream of joy that doesn't rely on external circumstances. For example, imagine a person who constantly wants to upgrade their lifestyle, always seeking a bigger house, a fancier car, or the next promotion. Even when they achieve these things, the satisfaction is short-lived and they're left wanting more. On the other hand, someone who practices gratitude can find pleasure in what they already have, enjoying the present without the need for constant accumulation. In Stoicism, gratitude transforms the way you experience pleasure. Instead of fleeting highs from chasing new desires, you cultivate a lasting sense of contentment by appreciating life's simple and meaningful pleasures. Rule 6. Focus on quality, not quantity. The sixth rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to focus on quality, not quantity. In today's world, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that more is better, whether it's possessions, experiences, or achievements. But the Stoics knew that true fulfillment doesn't come from accumulating as much as possible. It comes from seeking out the things that bring real, lasting satisfaction. The Stoics believed that a life filled with countless pleasures, if shallow and empty, is far less meaningful than one rich in fewer but deeper experiences. They weren't against enjoying life, but they were very selective about what they deemed worthy of their time and energy. Stoicism teaches that it's not the sheer volume of pleasures that matter, but their depth and significance. In other words, the quality of the pleasure matters far more than the quantity. Take relationships, for example. It's not about how many friends you have, but about the strength and authenticity of the friendships you nurture. The same goes for material possessions. Instead of filling your life with endless things, focus on acquiring fewer, higher quality items that bring you genuine joy and serve a purpose. The Stoic way is to enjoy what you have without needing more. By shifting your focus from quantity to quality, you also reduce the noise in your life. When you pursue too many superficial pleasures, it becomes difficult to truly enjoy any of them. Your attention is scattered, and the satisfaction from each experience is fleeting. But when you carefully choose what to indulge in, the pleasure you derive is deeper and more meaningful. Focusing on quality allows you to lead a life of simplicity and clarity. It's about choosing the experiences, relationships, and possessions that truly enrich your life, rather than chasing after more for the sake of having more. This mindful approach to pleasure creates a life of balance, contentment, and lasting joy. Rule 7. Avoid overindulgence. The seventh rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to avoid overindulgence. Stoicism teaches us that excess often leads to suffering. While it's natural to seek out pleasure, indulging too much or too frequently can turn something enjoyable into a source of discomfort or even harm. The key is moderation, knowing when to stop before pleasure becomes a burden. Overindulgence, whether in food, entertainment, or material goods, can numb our ability to truly enjoy things. What starts as a satisfying treat can quickly become overwhelming, leaving us feeling unfulfilled or regretful. Think of eating your favorite dessert. The first few bites are delightful, but if you keep going, you might end up feeling bloated or sick. The Stoics recognized this and practiced temperance to ensure that they could continue to enjoy life's pleasures without being consumed by them. The problem with overindulgence is that it can lead to dependency. When you repeatedly indulge in something, your mind and body start to crave more of it, and the original pleasure loses its impact. It becomes harder and harder to reach the same level of satisfaction, leading to a cycle of excess that ultimately detracts from your well-being. Stoicism encourages us to break this cycle by enjoying pleasures in moderation, so we can maintain a healthy relationship with them. Moderation also helps us maintain control over our desires. The Stoics believed that self-control is the foundation of true freedom. When you can resist the pull of overindulgence, you're no longer a slave to your impulses. You're able to choose when and how to enjoy life's pleasures, rather than being driven by an insatiable need for more. By avoiding overindulgence, you protect yourself from the emptiness that comes from chasing excess. You learn to savor life's joys in a balanced way, ensuring that each pleasure remains a source of fulfillment rather than a fleeting high that leaves you wanting more. This mindful approach creates space for deeper, more meaningful experiences that enhance your overall well-being. Rule 8. Live in accordance with nature. The eighth rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to live in accordance with nature. This principle is central to Stoic philosophy, which teaches that understanding and aligning with the natural world leads to a more fulfilling and harmonious life. For the Stoics, living in accordance with nature means recognizing your place in the universe, embracing your humanity, and acknowledging the rhythms of life. When we talk about living in accordance with nature, we refer to both the natural environment and human nature itself. This involves understanding the limitations and capacities of our bodies and minds, as well as respecting the world around us. By attuning ourselves to nature, we cultivate a sense of peace and acceptance, which can lead to more profound experiences of pleasure. For instance, consider the importance of physical health. When you prioritize your well-being by eating nutritious foods, exercising, and getting enough rest, you are aligning with the natural needs of your body. This creates a foundation for experiencing pleasure more fully, whether it's enjoying a delicious meal or engaging in activities you love. Conversely, neglecting your health through overindulgence or unhealthy habits can diminish your ability to savor life's joys. In addition to physical health, living in accordance with human nature means embracing emotions and acknowledging our interconnectedness with others. Stoics believed in cultivating strong relationships based on empathy, kindness, and mutual respect. By fostering deep connections, you create a sense of community and belonging that enhances your pleasure. When you share experiences with loved ones, the joy you feel is multiplied as you celebrate together. Moreover, recognizing the cyclical nature of life can help you navigate its ups and downs with grace. Just as the seasons change, so do our experiences of pleasure and pain. By accepting this ebb and flow, you learn to appreciate the moments of joy while also preparing yourself to handle difficulties. This acceptance fosters resilience, allowing you to embrace life as it is, rather than how you wish it to be. Ultimately, living in accordance with nature helps you cultivate a more balanced and meaningful life. You learn to appreciate the beauty of simple pleasures, find joy in connection, and embrace the fullness of the human experience. By aligning yourself with the rhythms of life, you create a space for genuine pleasure that nourishes your soul. Rule 9. Practice mindfulness. The 9th rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to practice mindfulness. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in distractions and lose sight of the present moment. However, mindfulness encourages us to fully engage with our experiences, enabling us to appreciate pleasure more deeply and authentically. Stoics believed that being aware of your thoughts and feelings, as well as your surroundings, allows you to live more intentionally. When you practice mindfulness, you're not merely going through the motions of life. Instead, you're fully present and attentive to what is happening around you. This presence enhances your ability to experience pleasure as you learn to savor the small moments that often go unnoticed. Consider a simple example: eating a meal. If you're distracted, scrolling through your phone, watching TV, or engaging in conversation, you might consume your food without really tasting it. The flavors, textures, and aromas become background noise to your distractions. However, when you practice mindfulness during meals, you focus on each bite. You appreciate the flavors, the effort that went into preparing the dish, and the nourishment it provides. This heightened awareness transforms a routine activity into a rich experience of pleasure. Mindfulness also helps you cultivate gratitude and awareness of impermanence. By being present, you can recognize and appreciate the fleeting nature of joyful moments. Instead of rushing from one experience to the next, mindfulness invites you to pause and reflect on what you have right now. This practice fosters a sense of fulfillment, as you acknowledge that even the smallest pleasures hold value. Moreover, mindfulness empowers you to respond to challenges with clarity and composure. When faced with difficulties, being mindful allows you to observe your thoughts and feelings without being overwhelmed by them. This perspective enables you to navigate tough situations with grace, reducing stress and enhancing your overall well-being. Incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine can be simple yet transformative. You might start with meditation, focusing on your breath and being aware of your thoughts as they come and go. Or you could practice mindfulness during everyday activities such as walking, washing dishes, or enjoying a cup of tea. The more you practice, the more attuned you become to the present moment, enriching your experience of pleasure and deepening your appreciation for life. Ultimately, practicing mindfulness allows you to engage more fully with the world, creating space for genuine joy and contentment. By being present in your life, you unlock the potential for deeper, more meaningful experiences of pleasure that resonate with your true self. Rule 10. Share your pleasures with others. The 10th rule of chasing pleasure like a Stoic is to share your pleasures with others. While individual enjoyment is important, the Stoics recognize that pleasure is often magnified when it's experienced in community with others. Sharing our joys, whether they are small daily pleasures or significant milestones, not only enhances our own experiences, but also fosters deeper connections with those around us. When you share your pleasures, you create a sense of belonging and community. Think about moments of joy, celebrating a personal achievement, enjoying a delicious meal, or witnessing a beautiful sunset. When these experiences are shared with others, they become richer and more meaningful. You're not just enjoying a moment for yourself, you're inviting others to join in and experience that joy with you. This shared experience creates lasting memories and strengthens relationships. Moreover, sharing your pleasures can also inspire those around you. When you express your joy and enthusiasm for life, it encourages others to find and celebrate their own pleasures. This ripple effect fosters a culture of gratitude and appreciation where everyone feels empowered to seek joy in their own lives. For instance, think about how sharing a favorite book, song, or movie can spark meaningful conversations and connections. When you recommend something that has brought you joy, you're inviting others to explore that pleasure, creating a shared experience that can lead to deeper discussions and understanding. Additionally, sharing your pleasures doesn't always have to be about grand gestures. It can be as simple as inviting friends over for a meal, participating in community activities, or engaging in acts of kindness. These small actions cultivate a sense of community and create an environment where everyone feels valued and connected. The Stoics understood that while personal pleasure is vital, it is the connections we build with others that enrich our lives. Sharing your joys transforms individual moments into collective experiences, enhancing both your own sense of fulfillment and the happiness of those around you. By making an effort to share your pleasures, you not only celebrate your own life, but also uplift and inspire others, creating a cycle of joy that resonates beyond yourself. In essence, sharing your pleasures amplifies the joy in your life and cultivates a sense of community, connection, and appreciation for the shared human experience. It's a beautiful way to honor the interconnectedness of life and the pleasures it brings. In conclusion, chasing pleasure like a Stoic is not about indulgence at all costs, but rather about finding a harmonious balance that enriches your life. By following the 10 rules we've explored, defining true pleasure, understanding impermanence, embracing self-control, balancing pain with pleasure, cultivating gratitude, focusing on quality, avoiding overindulgence, living in accordance with nature, practicing mindfulness, and sharing your pleasures with others, you can transform your approach to joy and fulfillment. These principles encourage you to appreciate life's simple pleasures while fostering deeper connections and self-awareness. By cultivating a Stoic mindset, you learn to savor the richness of your experiences without being overwhelmed by excess or fleeting desires. Ultimately, the goal is to create a life that is not only filled with joy, but also grounded in purpose and resilience. Embracing these Stoic teachings allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace, making each moment more meaningful and rewarding. So, as you embark on your journey of pleasure, remember that true joy lies in balance, intention, and connection. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time,